Some news broke out due to the documentary. I forgot exactly what the documentary is called. Um, I should probably look it up to shout out the documentary. Um, it is called Quiet on Set. Came out.
Oh,
Two-part.
so that's why there's been a lot of Twitter
Yeah, it
stuff
came
about.
out, I believe,
Okay,
last night or 2 nights ago. About Nickelodeon, behind the scenes Nickelodeon. Um, there was always assumptions, allegations, whatever you want to say about Dan Schneider.
hmm
Um, I wouldn't even. Again, it's like it's sexual assault, but it's because it's minors. I think it's categorized differently. Maybe not, but anyway, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls, some boys too. Um, when it comes to just sexualizing them on TV, behind the scenes, whatever it might be. He's been allegedly had these reports for years. But this, at least what I've gathered, I've not watched it yet, so I probably should watch it before I talk too much about it.
yeah.
But what I gathered um, is that Brian Peck, so not Josh Peck, no relation to Josh Peck, but Brian Peck, another producer, and I believe maybe a writer. Again, don't quote me, but very close to the Drake and Josh show and a couple other shows. Um, there is a big, I guess this was released that, 20 years ago, whenever this was, John Doe, a fake name, John Doe, went to court and essentially had these allegations against Mr. Peck, and went to court and won, and he went to jail apparently for 16 months. And this documentary came out that it was Drake Bell was the John Doe. So this guy
Wow.
apparently the story is, again, don't quote me because I watched 1 or 2 clips, but I didn't get the
Right.
most of it. But the story was very handsy towards Drake. His parents were kind of weren't getting involved, but knew it was like too much. And Drake went over his place, would have to consistently go over his place for lines, and he would make excuses of why Drake would have to come over. And then Drake one day woke up being sexually assaulted by him.
Wow.
That's what the court was a decade or two ago. I know Drake has had his moments, and when it comes to something along the lines of sexual assaulting someone as well.
Yep. Yep.
Which is maybe stemming from this. I know a lot of people that play around with the minor game, play in the minor leagues,
hmm
or dipped into the minor leagues themselves. So it's sad. The whole thing's sad. And there was a couple other actors and writers and stuff from Nickelodeon on it. Those aren't the only people. I know the actress from Zoe 101's been very vocal about,
Jamie Lynn Spears.
or not Jamie Lynn Spears, but the actress that I have to look up her name now because I don't want to get any of this.
Not Victoria Justice, but the other one.
Mm-mm. No, she was a minor. She was a side character. Need to get the cast.
Is she the one with the list?
To be honest, man, I didn't really watch that too much. Alexa Nicholas, I believe her name is.
Yeah, that's
Really
yeah,
her name.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
Nicole.
yeah, yeah,
in the show.
Yep.
But yeah, she's come out for years saying that the whole cast was evil to her. The writer, everyone, the writers, the producers, they bullied her. It's like she was getting bullied to the point where Britney Spears was on set saying that she was going to end her career. Just
Wow.
horrible stuff. So, and obviously we know a lot about the Dan Schneider stuff from I'm blanking all these names. Jeanette
McCurdy.
So just a lot of stuff coming out with Nickelodeon. But I watch
Right.
I do watch Ned's Declassified podcast Survivor Guide,
Yeah.
which is fun. And they talk about their producers of their shows are awesome. Like family.
Right.
They would have their kids come and it was awesome. So obviously there's producers of different shows. Just like any huge company, they have multiple producers and multiple shows. So
Schneider didn't do Ned's, did he?
I don't know. He wasn't the main producer though. He wasn't like the main creator producer. That was actually it was a couple that did it, and they were both producers of Nickelodeons. They ended up doing, I think, Big Time Rush next or something.
Oh, okay.
So they were doing other stuff. And Dan Schneider might have not even. He probably was there, but again, like I don't know all the details, but there's probably different producers doing different things. Dan Schneider seemed like he did more of the Amanda Show.
Yeah. He did Drake and Josh, Zoe 101.
Yeah, like Amanda Show. Like they were all connected. Like Amanda Show, Zoe 101, Drake and Josh, all of that. Like they were all kind of connected. And then Ned's Declassified, their creators, one of those creators, because again, there were a couple, he did Fairly Odd Parents and a bunch of cartoon stuff. And his first live action was Ned's Declassified. Then he ended up doing Big Time Rush and a couple other things. So crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I find all this interesting, not because of the, child molestation, but I find it interesting because of the behind the set stuff. It's like, it's very interesting to see. Like I like listening to a lot of these, like, I listen to, God, I'm getting all these names, but, she was, Even Stevens, Ren on Even Stevens.
A female?
Ren, the sister.
Oh,
so Kim Possible. Kim Possible. But anyway.
Oh, okay.
She was both of them, and she has she has a podcast, but she's very like, she talks a lot on Instagram and stuff, just about like her relationship with Shia LaBeouf and stuff like that. And it's just, I always find it interesting because I grew up on those shows, and now you're actually like seeing how it really was, or the behind the scenes, or their relationship, between Drake and Josh themselves.
Right.
I don't know if you heard about all that feud.
Of course I did.
From years ago. Yeah. So I mean, that's crazy. And I might be on the minority of this because like Drake Bell seemed like apparently he did some messed up stuff, but like I kind of feel sorry for Drake. Like,
sure.
Like it seems like, at least with the Drake and Josh situation, right? And obviously the situation with Nickelodeon, but like he genuinely seemed like he was like, maybe it was a past childhood, like maybe it was 10 years ago, but like I spent 5 years of my life with this guy. I grew up with him. I look at him as a brother. We're not as close anymore, but we go to events sometimes with each other. We do some things with each other once in a while.
Right.
But I always look at him as a brother. So like he didn't get an invite to the wedding.
Right.
Wasn't even told about the wedding really. It didn't seem like. So he was like, he probably messed up and he apologized, but he like seemed like he was hurt.
Right.
I'll never criticize someone for saying something stupid if they're hurt, as long as they apologize, because we've all been there and we've all done stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Are you team Josh or Drake?
I mean, I just don't. Who really knows the situation? Like that's where I fall on it, right? Like if Drake says that they were at least somewhat close, and they knew each other for all that time. Because here's the thing: they grew up with each other on the Amanda Show. It was several years. It was like 7 years.
Well, I was watching an interview where Drake was talking about how him and Josh were very close on the Amanda Show, and they would go home afterwards and play video games and stuff, and then like make up their own skits and talk about how like one day we're gonna have our own show. Right. And then, I actually just listened to this interview because I went down the rabbit hole, and he was like, basically, there was a scene in I think All of That where they had a fight over a shrimp, and they were fighting over a shrimp. And one of the producers saw it and like leaned over to Dan Schneider and was like, "That's your next show, is those two kids." And the last scene ever on Drake and Josh was them two fighting over a shrimp. So it was like a callback. But it's like, I understand where Drake's coming from. I can kind of understand where Josh is coming from, but
it's kind of like you're almost, as an audience member, you're almost obligated to invite them. Like because we grew up with these people, right?
Right.
So it's like from our point of view, like you're kind of obligated to invite them, but from their point of view, like who knows if there was a falling out? That happens all the time. And
grown apart,
grown apart. Like if again, I'm not in the situation, but like just objectively, like if it was a neutral situation where like if it was just a growing apart phase and nothing else happened, then I probably would have still invited Drake just because, um, like, helped me with my career. Still think he's a good person at heart. If I thought
Mhm.
if that was true at the time,
Mhm.
and yeah, so that's where I would fall on that if it was just if it was all neutral. Uh, so
Yeah, and it's interesting because also, I, from what it looked like, it didn't seem like it was a falling out. It was more just. It seemed like they were still kind of like friendly with each other. Like they would maybe see each other once every 6 months or something like that. At
right.
events or whatever it might be, or we're just hanging out.
Well, then if that's the
It's
case, then it's pro Drake because like that's the thing. Like we don't really know the
we don't know the
real
story.
truth. We're not in their lives. We're not their relatives. We're not their parents. Like
Right.
we just see what they say, and it's all hearsay at the end of the day. And then it's all about, oh, which one do you believe more? Do you
Well,
believe
what do you
Drake?
think,
Is it
Josh? When do you think Josh, if people were blaming him, was like, look, we had a falling out. Like it's none of your business is what it was about. But essentially, like we weren't friends at the time because of whatever it might have been. It might have been because of what happened with Drake with his
right?
sexual assault allegations. Um, it was like a minor, wasn't it? So it was like
Yeah,
it
it was
was
a
like
minor. Yeah,
and like or it might not have been. It might have just been like,
yeah,
hey, look, man, it was 2 years. We haven't talked in 2 years. It is what it is.
right.
So
And it's actually kind of crazy, just like kind of building off of it, but going on a side tangent.
mhm,
Like I have like friends out in California um who would say that Drake performed at my high school like whenever I was young,
mhm,
like did the music, like got pictures of them, he was like such a revered person at the time.
right.
Uh, and then that bombshell hits around, I mean, I think it was 2014, 2015. I don't really remember.
For what?
Um, the whole the sexual assault allegation
Oh, I think that
claim,
was
or
during COVID.
was that or was it a few years before? Maybe the incident occurred a few years before.
Yeah, yeah, probably. I think it was during COVID
Um,
because they did it all through virtual stuff,
right,
watching clips and stuff.
right. So um, when that went down, I mean, that's when the whole view of him changed, and
Hmm.
um, no one really remembers him except for Drake and Josh. And like, oh yeah, he has that attached to him now. Um,
Right.
and so yeah, it's just wild that because then I never really saw that ever happening in terms of like the type of person who like we all thought he was, and so
Hmm.
um, just seeing that changes things a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Well, spinning it to Avatar: Last Airbender, it is funny to think that like we I think Dante Bosco talked about this. Like he never watched Avatar until he was older, just
Hmm.
recently. A lot of
Hmm.
these actors don't. It's like for them, like Dante Bosco might have been in the booth for 2 weeks.
Right,
Like that's our childhood. We love it. But like for Dante Bosco, that was 2 weeks of work. He made $20,000 and moved on.
yeah.
And
I,
like
I was
like it is crazy to think that. Well, Drake and Josh are a little bit different. That's more of a it seemed like they started all that when they were probably not even like around 10 years old, and they probably finished it when they were close to 20. So that was a 10
right,
year arc of their life from starting all that to ending Drake and Josh and doing maybe a couple things afterwards with Nickelodeon. Um,
right.
would you like go ahead and say something before if you wanted to say
Well, I was
something?
gonna say, see if you know this fun fact that I'm gonna
Throw at me.
see if you know. And I don't know if there's any more people, but I remember seeing him on the show growing up,
Okay.
and I was like, "Oh my gosh, no wonder this guy sounds so familiar." So there might be a few more people on the show that ended up being in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but which which voice actor of Avatar was originally in the show? All that.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't really know too many of the actors from all that, to be honest. Besides
Well,
Drake and Josh.
they're the same from they're the same from Avatar. If you know their names, am I not making sense? Let me rephrase.
Yeah, no, so you're saying what voice actor from
Yeah.
Avatar: Last Airbender came from all that?
Yeah.
I'm take a wild guess and say it's Sokka.
Boom, you got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
He seems a little bit more like industry man.
Yeah.
Because he does other voice acting where like, I mean, Zuko's very. I mean, Zuko's a little older. The guy who plays Zuko, Dante
Oh yeah.
is a little older.
He was like 30 when he.
Yeah, obviously something like Mark Hamill. Can you imagine? Well, yeah. Well, real quick, just to end this topic, and then we'll move on to the Avatar: Last Airbender stuff. Do you see Drake and Josh either doing one of two things? One, a sequel series where it's maybe. So apparently Drake or Josh came to the studio and said they called it. I think Josh talked about this. One of them talked about it. And they were like, they went to the studio. And that's why it's like they have a relationship somehow.
Yeah.
They went to the studio and made an idea for it was called, instead of Drake and Josh, it was called Josh and Drake. And like Josh grew up to be like a great, like a manager and like was super successful. And Drake was like a deadbeat. And it was about them like meeting back up. And Drake was about it. Like they were both about it. And like almost like poking fun at his own career, you know. But I mean, he's semi-successful, but like, I mean, he's doing what he loves. But
are
like,
you sure it was both of them?
I don't know. I forgot how.
Well, then we don't know about the relationship. That's my until we find that out, we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would love to see a Drake and Josh, even if it was like a mini series of like 10 episodes. They're doing so many like reboots and stuff. Ned's Declassified apparently talked about it too, and I think I saw a rumor, or it was announced, maybe it wasn't, but where it was like him, and this would be awesome. Ned's Declassified, like adult Survivor Guide. And it's like the kids that grew up on the show when they were in teenagers, now they're adults, and it's like 20 episodes a season or something, and it's like 3 friends that haven't seen each other in 10 years. They're all coming back together because of certain reasons, and maybe all of them have different experiences. So, I mean, if they want to play around with their real life situation, they could say that Mosley did some drugs and she got mental. Well, in real life, the actress.
If anybody was going to be using drugs, is the janitor.
Well, I'm saying the 3 main characters, but the girl that played
Mosby.
She was a drug addict for a little bit. Like she talks about it openly on the podcast. So like they could say that Ned, who them two dated and they broke up, and Ned was like apparently heartbroken. Like he could be coming off of a relationship, like, and like was left at the altar or something, and then Cookie could have been like an IT guy, super smart, but got like screwed over by his company and is now like unemployed, and like they could have. That would be great, dude. And like that would.
Do you want to go to Hollywood and pitch this idea, Matt?
No. They pitched it.
Oh,
like they pitched it, and it was denied, and they keep pitching it, and they keep trying. So we'll see.
Interesting.
And it was like the guy that played Ned and the creator of Ned's Declassified. Them two, like they still talk. They were on the podcast with them. Like they went and pitched it. Right. So like crazy.
To answer your question about Drake and Josh, though, it's not going to happen.
Probably not.
I mean, just because of, what the topic at hand.
Yeah, I mean, well, you could say all publicity is good publicity, and you could say, now that we're talking about Drake and Josh more than we have probably in 5 years.
Isn't he in prison? I don't know. Is he in prison?
No.
Drake's not in prison? Yeah.
No.
How is he not? How is he not?
Podcast well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know the details, but he's not in prison. He was on the show. He was on podcasts talking about it. I mean, he has his own podcast. He's a musician. He has a career. Like he's still an artist. He's not huge, but he's still like an artist. Now, I don't know if he did time. Like this was like 6 years ago. So I don't know. Maybe he went to jail for a year. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But all I know is he's not in jail now.
Okay.
So yeah.
Then I don't know then if that's the case. I would still say no. It probably won't happen, but who knows?
Yeah, I would watch the shit out of it. I'll tell you that right now. That and Ned's Declassified. I can't watch like Zoe 102 they made and like
it was okay.
Boys Meets World 2.
I saw Girl Meets World.
All that stuff.
Yeah, Fuller House was Girl Meets World. I couldn't even just and Zoe 102 actually wasn't that bad. It actually wasn't.
They should make a show about Avatar, and it's them all grown up. And oh wait,
All
all right.